Hi everybody and welcome back to Danstew Station. Apologies first of all, I was hoping to make this next update since my first video a little bit sooner than this one. Unfortunately I've not been too well since that first video. Since coming back from camping I ended up with a virus. I then had a sickness bug and I'm just now getting over a bad cold. So yeah, I've been a bit in the wars, but in amongst all of that I have done quite a lot of updates to the layout, which I wanted to make a video to show you all the progress, so I do hope you enjoy it. One of the first things I wanted to show is that we now have the Kingfisher back in the fleet. Shortly after making that first video and returning from a holiday, it was repaired. They did a fantastic job of it, and runs very nicely now, so I'm very pleased with that. We just have all of the locos up here. Number one, just so they're out of the way while I've been doing some of the work on the layout, and also so that they're out of the way of little hands which can cause a little bit of damage, as I found out on the Comet. Hadn't realised that one of the boys got hold of it and one of the wheels has been snapped off. So that's one I'm going to have to try and repair. Because the joys of running a railway and having kids, it's great. One of the biggest changes I've made is to the drawbridge which goes in front of the door. I didn't really show it very much in the first video, but it was kind of made just using scrap bits of wood, and they were quite thin, so they weren't very sturdy. I was kind of going for more of a economic, trying to spend as little as possible to make it, so I used scrap bits of wood that I had later on the garage, and it did kind of work, but when you try and run trains on it, it was just unreliable. It would board in the middle. In long term it just wasn't going to last. So what I've done is I've purchased two wooden shelves over there, and this is one that I already had, and I've just joined them together with some bits of wood and attached them to the hinges. So now we have a much more sturdy bridge which will come down and lays down really nicely, and then I've got two little locks there which go into place, which help the tracks line up nicely, and it's worked really well in all of the tests that I've done, knock on wood. Which kind of moves me on to the next thing I've been doing, and as you can see I've laid down some cork onto the wood and I've started hammering and nailing down all of the track. So this is now all nicely in place and secure, which has really been a really nice sort of thing to do after working on this for so long, to actually have some track nailed down and in place, and it's all nicely joined and the trains run really nicely on it. That's just a really nice feeling, and it gives you more motivation to kind of keep going, I found. Over in the top corner over here you can see this is obviously where the rail splits right there, so that when you lift up the bridge, obviously the rail isn't attached, so it can lift up easily. And of course we have the same on this side, so that the track can lift up nicely, and then as it goes down and you put these locks on like that, and then the track is nicely lined up with the minimum amount of like realignments or adjusting needed doing to it. As you can see, in a couple of places I had put screws in. I mainly found it better on these sections, just so then I could control how high the track was or how low, and I just found it a lot easier to kind of work on these bits. These parts for some reason were a lot better, so I didn't have to do that for them, but yeah, I don't intend to use screws all the way throughout. I just found that it was a bit better on this section just to get the right level and the right height. Notice as well that this is slightly different to what I had said in the first video. I had said that the 2 points were going to come off there and the sidings of the coaches were going to come along there and along here. The problem that I found with it is that I had put the points over here, but because this is where the tunnel will start, and I'm going to have some kind of like dome just over here just to create the illusion of a tunnel, it didn't work well with the points. It would mean that the points would have to come across here, off here, then off here. It just made for a lot of unnecessary adjustments. So I found that as I did this part, I had a lot of space on here, So what I decided to do was to just make the two lines as I originally thought, but just coming off this line and make the two side-ins here. So now the plan is that the side-ins will be right here, the carriages will be stored here, and the shunter will still be able to come onto here from either the outer line or the inner line, collect the coaches and take them to either one. It's laid out that way that I'd be able to do that. The only problem that I have that I'm still looking at, you won't be able to tell from here, but obviously this is part of the incline that drops down from the higher level into the lower level. So if I just knock that back onto its track slightly, we have the problem that it will just roll. So what I currently do, oops. So what I currently do is I have the back wheels just off the track. That holds them in place. I don't intend to do that for the whole time. I want buffers on the back, but in the long run I'm going to have to figure out a way to hold them in place while they're being stored there without them rolling off and onto the track. As for the cork, as I mentioned, I've already started to lay quite a lot, and I have it coming from where the tunnel would begin, around here as I've shown before. I have it also running through the shelves all the way up to the bookshelf at the top there, round where the trains are stored, over the bridge from the desk, and that's where it ends there. And this is where the bridge connector is over here. Now I stopped at that point on the bridge because I wanted to do this section, which is the section that goes under this kind of bridge here. I didn't want to be laying the cork on this one, starting to lay track, and then trying to tackle this underneath it and round the back. So I figured this was the easiest way. So we now also have it laid all the way through the back of the bridge, underneath, and then around here into the side-ins, pretty much up to that section there. And that point I ran out of cork and had to order some more. Which brings me to a delivery I just literally got today, and it was these two. I got 3 more rolls of the cork, and this is the cork that I am using. It's the Javis, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. It's the cork sheet. It's 1.5mm thick. I found that that's a really nice thickness to work with, ideal for what I'm doing. And I also bought the second incline that I needed for where the incline comes up, so I picked that up as well. I've already managed to get the incline in place. It's all glued down and it should be pretty much dry by now, so I managed to get that in and put on there. And I found a perfect use for VHSs that I still happen to have. Yes, I do still have VHSs. I have quite a large collection of the Star Trek VHS tapes. I just haven't had the heart to get rid of yet, so they're stored here in the garage where I have my video player, so I can put them on if I'm ever working in here. But yeah, I found that they're also really useful for holding down things when you're gluing them. So I've been using them to hold down the cork while the cork's been drying, and yeah, they've been quite useful. So they've been holding down the incline while that's been drying. So I'm going to get the videos off now and we'll see how that's gone. And there we are, second incline is in place. It's glued and dried really nicely. Yep, and it's in place pretty well. And what I did was I used some screws just where it was kind of stretched. It's like this is like the second part, and I stretched that just a little bit more. So I put the screw in to hold it in place while it dried, and that's done a really nice job. There's some more screws in the back. There's one there, one there, one there, one there, one there, just to kind of hold it in place while it dried, and that's come out really well, so I'm really pleased with that. I kind of knew that this would happen, where it'd have a slight lip, because obviously with it being on the outside of the curve it would not line up perfectly, so I knew that was going to happen, so I'm not too worried about that. My feeling on it is it's going up a hill, so it's not going to be perfectly level on both sides, so there we go. And obviously there's a little bit of a gap in there, but what I've got is a bit of extra polystyrene, and I'll just cut that off and fill that gap, and then use it as well to bridge It's a little bit of a rise there, so I use it to bridge that gap. And then we're good to go. So then we have our 2 inclines. So I'm really happy with that. Yeah, it's really good. And one of the last things I wanted to show you before we end this video is, I mentioned in the last one that I had these low relief Metcalfe buildings set up and wired up to be lit. So I just wanted to show what they were like lit. Unfortunately, the houses on the left, on hooking them all up just now and switching it on, there's a loose wire or something in this one, so that's not working, which is a shame. But the others are working really well, and they kind of show off what the effect will be like. I've just literally put this one in. As I said in the last video, this one isn't finished yet, and I hadn't put the lights in, but I did have an LED set and ready to go. So I've just popped that in there, and I kind of like it on that level. I was going to put it in the store window there, but I kind of like it on there. It's kind of a good effect. I like that. So I might, because obviously there's another one that's going to go next to it, so I might have that one with the store window switched on, and then on this one it's on this side. With the cinema as well, what I decided to do was to add a little personal touch to it. So we'll zoom into the corners so you can see this a little bit better. And if you see on the right hand side here, we have a little poster that I printed, and this is for the movie V for Vendetta. And on this side we have the poster for the 1986 original Transformers the movie. And this is kind of what I was saying when I said none of it's going to kind of join together. We have a movie that was released in 1986 here, and V was released in 2015, I believe. So they're completely out of sync. You know, there's no way that these 2 movies will be released at the same time. And that's kind of what I mean when I say that a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be putting in is going to be eclectic. It's going to be things that I like. And that's the thing, Transformers the movie, the 1986, that was my favourite movie, still is my favourite movie. Growing up, I've watched it 1,000 times. It's my all-time favourite movie. And V for Vendetta is another of my all-time favourites. I adore that movie. I watch it every November the 5th. And I love that movie. You'll have probably seen in the videos that I posted that I love the movie that much. I actually have 2 masks of V for Vendetta here in the garage. Second mask is there just behind the Lord's Head helmet. So yeah, that is something that I do really like, so I wanted that in the railway at some point. Just as a final little nod to V, I don't want to go on about it too long, but this kind of shows as well how much it does mean to me that we have the Metcalfe bridge here that will go over the train lines. As you can see, it is also wired up to be lit, but in the corner I've kind of added the poster that you would see in V for Vendetta, strength through unity, unity through faith, with the V symbol painted over it. So yeah, it's kind of little things like that that I'll be adding in that people might not even ever notice until you get really close to it, and that's the kind of look I like. So I've just turned the lights out now just to get a better look at this, and yeah, that's really, really cool. I do really like that. I kind of had it so that the cinema is a little bit brighter, the others are kind of like a dull light, where the cinema's a bit brighter, but I kind of wanted that effect. It is an outdoor light, so it's supposed to be a bit brighter, to, you know, to light up the posters and everything like that. So I did kind of want it like that, without any lights on the inside, because really the inside windows wouldn't have lights, I suppose. I suppose they would do if they were kind of foyers or something like that. But I didn't want to over bleach any of the buildings, you know. I didn't want every single window to be lit, so I've gone for kind of like a minimal effect, and I think it kind of makes a better effect. That, you know, if you were in a building or a house, you wouldn't have every single light on, so that's kind of what I've gone for here. Just finally on the buildings, I just wanted to show you the back. So they're all connected through wires, and at the moment they're going through a splitter kind of box there. And it's currently being powered by a 4-volt battery pack with 2 AAA batteries in, which can switch on and off. The plan will be that I will have bus wires going underneath, some with 12 volts, because that's why I couldn't put the bridge on that, because that's a 12 volt, so it wouldn't have worked. on this battery pack, but I will have a couple of bus wires, one for 4 volts, one for 12 volts, so that I can light everything through the mains rather than through batteries. So yeah, that's pretty much everything that I've been doing. So I'm going to be focusing mainly now on getting the rest of the cork laid down, finishing laying off all the track, then I'll probably focus on getting the bus wire down so that I can get some power to the track and make sure that it does run. What I have been doing is, as I've been going along and laying the cork and the track, I've been using the select with the bit of track on the end, just to power the track and make sure it is running. So far, thankfully, it's all run really well, so it's going really well so far, and hopefully it'll continue. But I'll carry on laying all the cork. I'll get some bus wire down as well, so hopefully I'll have a bit more to show you in the next video. Until then, I hope you enjoyed this update. Don't forget to like, subscribe to see when I update some more videos. Any comments that you have on things I've shown you today would be greatly appreciated. As I said before, it's always nice to get some feedback on what you're doing. And I hope you guys are enjoying it. So until then, I will speak to you all soon. Take care. Bye for now.